I know you mentioned earlier that you get good access to WNBA players, but what is the relationship between WNBA players and the media like? Like, does the league players teams are they good about giving reporters access and the access needed to kind of, I don't know, help promote the sport?
It's interesting because media is so broad now, right? Like I feel the TV media, like our crews at ESPN. I feel like we have a great relationship with the players and the coaches. We get incredible access from the coaches. They're always going to talk to us before games, either after their shoot around, or if they're not shooting around that day, they'll talk to us that morning. Players or give us great access. And one of the things that's been interesting covering the WNBA for a lot of years is in terms of television, WNBA has often been like the test balloon. We were the first ones to do coach interviews, at the end of the first and third quarter, and that went pretty well. And then the NBA did it. First ones to have players mic'd during the game, and then they'd come in with the wired sound. So over the years, it's been like, let's try it on the WNBA, see what it's like. There was one year where we had the ref cam, and or no, it was the ref would be open like they are in the NFL to the arena to
Okay,
kind of say what the thing is. Now they just talk right into the TV, but for
right.
one year they could talk to the arena. It wasn't executed well, so that lasted one year, and that never made it to the NBA. But the access is great. The thing that can be hard, and I know there was some frustration voiced by WNBA players, in particular during the finals. I think limited access after games is that there's a lot of people who get credentials now who it's a different landscape where, they might be asking for an autograph or a picture or
Okay.
things that are different from kind of how we've all grown up as media people of what's appropriate and not. So I think there's been some pushback from players, but we haven't felt it. I think there's been some pushback in other areas.
Are there enough reporters who are there every day so that like those relationships are kind of built between the players and the press, so that then when it does come time for an all-star game or the finals or a big event like that, that there is that kind of trust and relationship between the reporters and players?
I think so. The hard thing is when like a locker room, like this year, the WNBA changed it where post game, and this was at the request of the players and the Players Association, that media can't go in to the locker room after a game. However, if you request a player, they come out and talk to you in the hallway or whatever the case may be. What's been a huge growth point that I have seen throughout my time covering the WNBA, and I started covering it the season after I retired, so 2004. So it's 20 years now. Is one of the great resources for us as we're getting ready to call a game is to read the local news coverage of a team. And 20 years ago, like the LA Times or the LA papers, they weren't writing about the Sparks. Like you couldn't find anything. You could always find stuff with the Connecticut Sun. They had Minnesota Lynx. There were certain places where their local print outlets were covering them regularly, but there were others where they weren't. Now there's as much information as you can possibly find because you don't need space column inches anymore in a newspaper. You can do
Right.
stuff online. You can do blogs. You can do, there's so much more information now and so much more access and so many more people covering the teams and the players. And as a result, to get back to your question, yes, relationships are built and of course you're going to get the best stuff when you're somebody who's been at a lot of practice and at every game, and you've kind of built the relationship with the local player for your team.